Hi, I'm Cheryl, and this is my testimony. So, a little bit about me. I grew up in Nova Scotia with a great family of loving parents and a great sister, and had a typical childhood. What I didn't know wasn't typical was that I always had these thoughts racing through my brain saying that I wasn't enough. I wasn't good enough, strong enough, smart enough, pretty enough, tall enough, was too tall, you know, just all those things. I wasn't enough. And I had these perpetual thoughts running through my head through most of my adolescence and adulthood. And along with those thoughts came thoughts of depression and suicide and all those things. But in my head, it was never a quiet space. There was never a quiet time. There was always these thoughts racing through my mind, and I didn't realize it wasn't. Everybody didn't experience this. And one of our friends asked me if I wanted to go to a weekend conference. A couple were coming down from Stratford, Ontario, and the gentleman was speaking on Saturday, and the moment he opened his mouth, I started to cry. And I basically cried through his entire message. He probably thought that, well, this chick's pretty crazy. She's sitting there crying through this entire message anyway. So when he finished, he called up a couple of people to prophesy over them, and then he looked at me. He's like, "Okay, dear, come on up." So he said this great prophecy over me, and I was completely blown out of the water. And in the tape, you can hear me crying. And then I went to bed that night, and I slept. And as I woke up, I had this dream. I had this impression that I was submerged under the water, and I could feel the pressure of not being able to breathe in my chest. And I could see the surface of the water above my head, and I was swimming up from the bottom, and I could feel the pressure in my chest, not being able to breathe, and I could see the surface, and I was swimming towards it, and I was swimming towards it, and I was swimming towards it. And as I broke through, I took this big breath, and that is how I woke up, taking this big inhale of air, and that is how I woke up. And I realized that at that moment, there were no voices in my head. I actually didn't hear any of that litany of "you're not good enough." It's, like none of that self-hatred. It was all gone. It was so quiet. I had no idea that the world was so quiet. And I was totally free. I was totally broken free of that spirit of self-loathing. And that's all I can think of. That's what it was. It was just a spirit of self-loathing. And from that moment on, I was completely free. And I was happy and light and full of joy, and there was no heaviness at all. And that was the beginning of my transformation. And been on a journey ever since, like everybody else. But that was the moment that I knew that God came and He saved me and started to transform me. God bless. Bye.